encouraged, because I know how I lucked out to get into a situation where they were living in the 21st century. They weren't a completely backwards medical institution, and they knew that a lot of support was required in terms of diet and physical exercise and meditation and yoga, and they supported all of that. So it wasn't a case. I met with the oncological dietitian, who was also a psychologist, and we talked about a bunch of things. I showed her all the vitamins I was taking. She said, don't take these while you're getting treatment. Take these after, 6 weeks after treatment, take more of these. And take mushrooms. I was eating mushrooms, and I did some research on the kinds of things you should be taking when you're being irradiated to do two things: make the radiation more effective with the cancer and minimizes the damage. And one of those things was turkey tail mushrooms. So I did research on the best stuff you could get, and that was where I made my commitment. And in terms of the kinds of mushrooms, I got turkey tail mushrooms from Europe, and cordyceps mushrooms from Japan, and a whole bunch of other things.
When were you diagnosed?
I had my treatment in August, and I had my biopsy was the last week in July of 2016, and a week after that I got my the diagnosis, and a little bit of layout of the plan, and 2 weeks, 3 weeks after that was the beginning of the radiation. As I said, it took about 11 weeks. And while I was going through that, I listened to whole bunch of tapes. I managed to get subscriptions to 2 different meditation magazines. One's a mindful meditation, one an oriental meditation, to have both things, breathing exercises. We were introduced, we had a yoga session with someone that the dietitian brought in for us, and that was very informative. I learned about near the yoga and breathing properly, and deep breathing, both nasal breathing in and out, and full abdominal breathing. It became part of my routine and my habit. It's been every day now since then. And I intensified my diet. I limited my diet. My intention was to have as alkaline a diet as I could have, minimize my insulin reaction, reduce my sugar load considerably. So I was alkaline, anti-inflammatory diet, 2-3 different times of curcumin, the new high-intensity stuff that reduces inflammation and the side effects. And a whole bevy of vitamins and fish oil. Only thing I really cut out was vitamin C, which actually I've learned since then that in the instance of a cancer, vitamin C, which is normally an antioxidant, the Linus Pauling Institute has discovered in the case of when you have a cancer, it acts actually as an oxidant. And when you want to oxidize as much as possible to kill the cancers. So actually, even when I'm doing my meditative walks, one of the things I'm meditating on is deep breathing, and I'm deep breathing, and I'm visualizing as I'm walking and breathing that I'm driving the oxygen deeper and deeper into the body. We learned from Linda, who was the yoga coach, about the breathing process of inhaling and holding the breath in, and the transformation that goes on between the oxygen and the carbon dioxide goes in and out, and how I was visualizing the oxygen's getting deeper and deeper into the cells of my body, and every time it meets a cancer cell somewhere, wacko, it whack-a-moles and knocks it down. So I still do that as I walk, because you're never assured, even when you're in remission. The likelihood is they never got the stem cells. The radiation doesn't kill the stem cells. And as you do more research and you find out what the likelihood is, you know that the effects of radiation can show up 5 to 10 years later in terms of major damages. And I didn't want to be in the situation of having a problem down the road. When I started the process, met with the oncologist, I told him I really wanted 10 years out of this process, because of the assumption being within 10 years they'll have some kind of a cure. They give you a needle and it'll go away. But when we finished the process, which I'll get to later, I told him I now at that time felt really good. I want 36 more years, not just 10, because I had a lot of things to do. So that's basically the before and the initial beginning process, and I was doing this with some intensity. When the radiation stopped, I had previously had medical exams scheduled, plus blood work scheduled, so at the end of it, the week after the radiation stopped, and they actually, the oncologist requested at the time, I had my blood work done, I had a PSA done. My PSA was basically negligible. It was less than 0.01. That was the designation less than, which means there might be something there, but we can't see it, which was a good sign. And a lot of my numbers were good. I had a meeting with the cardiologist, and he said that the radiation at that time hadn't appeared to do